For this technique on 10x living, I want to highlight the idea of populating possibilities and probabilities. Now, we're mostly focused when we think of improving our life on the actual physical life around us. That's what we're focused on, partly due to the influence of materialist science, partly because it's the densest form of reality. But 2/3 of our reality are thoughts and feelings. In the heart-mind-body triangle, that is the only thing that we can know is real. 2/3 of that triangle consists of our thoughts and our feelings about those thoughts, our beliefs and our thoughts and feelings about those beliefs, our paradigms, and the thoughts that emerge out of those paradigms, the feelings that emerge that are produced by those thoughts. For example, if you think today is going to be a terrible day, you cannot have a positive feeling come out of that thought. And so there's going to be a negative feeling that is associated. So the thought produces the feeling. Sometimes we're not fully aware of the thought, and we do become aware of a feeling, and then we start looking for a feeling that makes sense because we hate to be crazy. And crazy just means disintegrated. So when we have wonderful things going on in our life and feel depressed, we feel crazy. And so in order to feel sane, we'll look for maybe something depressing to make sense of why we're thinking and feeling depressed. So in populating probabilities and possibilities, what we're working on is two things. We're working on improving the mental and emotional thirds of our reality. And again, philosophers, scientists, thinkers all agree the only thing that we can be absolutely sure of, because we might be in a simulation, we might not be seeing things the way they actually are. This may not be at all real. But the only thing we can be absolutely certain of is that we are conscious. And the only thing that we are conscious of are our thoughts, our feelings, and our sensations. And so if we can improve the landscape of our thoughts and feelings, we're improving 2/3 of our reality. So if we look at possibilities, how do we populate positive possibilities in our life? Well, it's a matter of recognizing them, meaning there are an infinite number of positive possibilities. And long before we could finish articulating that infinite number of positive possibilities, things have changed, creating an entirely new infinite field of possibilities, meaning in every moment, there are things going on in the world that have a positive possibility associated with them. So in every moment, millions and millions and millions, billions, trillions of things are happening, each of which has a positive possibility field associated with it. They're happening all the time, and it takes a long time to articulate possibilities. So there's, the world is filled with, an unlimited amount of ever-expanding positive possibilities. But I'm not aware of that most of the time. Most of the time, I'm not thinking, oh, so-and-so was just born. They were just born, right? But, I'm not thinking about that. So-and-so is just born. In 10 years old, I could meet them and have a wonderful time, right? So 10 years from now, all the people that were just born, well, we could meet them and have a wonderful time. That's a positive possibility. At 5 years old, we might meet them. They might smile a beatific smile and make our day, etc. So there's all these positive possibilities going on all the time, and they're always coming into being, but we're not thinking about those. Now, if we think about them as, is that likely to happen, right? 99.999% of all possibilities, positive and negative, are not going to happen. So if we think of positive possibilities from the point of view as how likely are they to happen, you can discount them. You can say there's a 99.99% chance they're not going to happen, ever, right, in our reality. However, there is a 100% chance that the positive possibilities we are thinking about are being thought about by us, number one. Number two, there's a very likely, if we do not follow the thinking of positive possibility by saying something like, well, that will never happen to me, which is a negative possibility, right? We think of a positive possibility and then we say, well, that will never happen to me. That's a negative possibility. It might happen to you. Odds may be small in many of the cases, but it might, right? And so that's, then you collapse the vibe. But there's a 100% chance that when you're thinking of a positive possibility, you feel better. And there's a 100% chance that you will feel better. And there's a 100% chance that you are thinking of the positive possibility that you are thinking about. So those are not bad odds. 100% odds of feeling better and improving 2/3 of your reality. Now, is this Pollyanna? Is this pie in the sky? Is it impractical? It depends, right? Depends, right? If you're trying to write a book on deadline, and you've got to be focused, and instead you're thinking about the possibility of winning the lottery, that is Pollyanna in the sense it's destructive in the sense that, yes, the lottery is going to be very unlikely to be won. And meanwhile, it's highly likely that if you daydream while on deadline, while writing a book, you're not going to finish the book. And so that's a destructive use of, this technique. So the time to use this technique are, number one, when you are not trying to do something urgently, right? Do not use this technique when needing to focus, driving at high speeds, etc. So don't do this when you have an urgent practical reality to attend to, right? Don't do this instead of getting things done that are not urgent, but are important, that will propel your life forward. So when might you use this? Well, instead of watching aimless TV, when eating, when going for a walk, when brainstorming with a friend or partner, when you can't get to sleep at night, right? Because if you can't get to sleep because you're anxious, and you're anxious because you're thinking of everything that could go wrong, and so then you can't get to sleep, and now you're anxious about not getting to sleep, well, this is a wonderful time to use this technique. So to think of a positive possibility, you can use fantasy. All you have to do is think of something that you like that you have not thought about before, right? Because we're looking at populating your consciousness with more positive possibilities. Why? Because it feels good, number one. But number two is, in the same way that when you decide to buy a car and you settle on a model, or you buy a car and are sitting in the model, suddenly you notice everyone seems to be driving that car, right? Why? Well, it's simply that you are aware of it. you recognize it, or you read a book about narcissism, suddenly everyone's a narcissist, right? Because, well, I'm scanning the world for these, that was narcissistic, that was narcissistic. So what's the benefit? Well, if you expand your awareness of what could go well, regardless of how unlikely, that's not the focus here, you're more likely to spot it or something along those lines if you encounter it. And that's not a bad thing, right? When you say, oh, oh, something like that was like that possibility. I could be getting closer to that. That possibility could be becoming probable. And if I do this and this and this, maybe it'll even become actual, right? So that's a useful thing to be aware of. So let's do this together. Why? Because it's fun, right? So imagine something that you haven't imagined before that's going well, that could go very well. So let's pick an area. Let's pick an area of romantic love. What is something that hasn't happened, that you haven't imagined happening, that could, it's possible, right? That goes incredibly well. And the trick with these things is not to add the secondary possibility, right? Because it is also possible that will never happen, right? But the secondary statement is the depressor, right? That those things never happened to me. That's the depressor, right? If you just imagine the possibility, right? Well, what is it? Where would be a location that you haven't thought of? What would be an interaction you haven't thought of? So a location, an interaction, a circumstance, and then what would be something really amazing along those lines you've never thought about? That is a possibility. Take a moment. And if you've got the general idea, and you can write it down if that helps. You've got the general idea. Think about the possibility of what that environment, what that situation smells like. So spring day, this country, that country, where's the location? Outdoors, indoors, and then even if it's indoors, like what's the possibility? And, if you like a certain scent or whatever, just add an infuser in your mind and add that scent in your imagination. Why? Because it's fun, right? And because it's possible. Infusers exist. Any scent in the world exists. Add the scent that you like into that possibility. Add the scent, enjoy the scent. And then, what would it taste like? Different types of air, different temperatures, different smells have a slight taste. Even just your mouth has a slight taste. Or you can add a taste element. Stick a piece of gum in the fantasy, put a cookie in the fantasy, whatever. What does it taste like? Add some coffee, add some kombucha, whatever it is. Add something as a taste, then as a touch, right? What is the sensation in that possibility? What does it sound like? If you want to add music, add some music. It's a possibility. There could be a band. There could be your favorite band. Your favorite song could be sung live in a possible. Because everything's possible. Parallel universes, going back in time. A doorway could open up and something from the past or the future could walk out and be part of that possibility, right? Only a fool, and there have been infinite numbers of fools throughout history, says with absolute certainty that that's completely and utterly impossible. People have done it throughout history, and many of them are wrong, right? And the ones that are not wrong yet may well be wrong sometime in the next billion or trillion years, right? So imagine that possibility. See it, feel it, taste it, touch it. What does it sound like? What's going on, right? Live it, but get into that picture and notice how you feel. And if it's not optimal, it's not the possibility that isn't optimal. If it isn't, just tweak it, right? Change the smell, change the taste, change what's happening, right? Make it a little bit better. If it doesn't feel uplifting, you've got the other layer going that's saying that'll never happen, that's not possible, this is pointless. Well, saying something is pointless doesn't uplift you. Saying something is meaningless, saying that you're a fool doesn't uplift you, right? So just don't do that, right? It's possible that you're a fool. It's possible. Everything is possible. But just don't add that one in so that you can enjoy the possibility. Now that you see, right, take a moment. Now that you see what you feel, what you think, what you're tasting, etc., and you've got that nice thing, and you realize this is possible. Now, what does that tell you, right? What does it tell you about what you want, about what you like? Do you learn anything about you, that this is where you went when you thought of a positive possibility? Number 3, is there anything about that you can bring into the moment, right? Could you add that smell now, right? See, because which of any of the elements there, the taste, the smell, the idea, the music, which of any of the elements is probable? Meaning, it may take a little work, but I could actually walk over and get that CD and put that on and listen to it in my earphones, or I could put that in the car stereo, or I could search it on iTunes, or I could do it on YouTube and play the song or whatever. I could stop at that cafe, right? Now, if it's in any way a strain, don't push it into probability. And certainly don't push it into actuality. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. I can think that, I can enjoy that, and I don't have to do it, right? I've got a busy day today. I don't want to have to go and put music in but I could, right? So you want to explore the softness between the possibility and the probability. And if you like that, meaning how do you know? Well, you're coming alive, right? You're enjoying it. If you like that, then explore it a little bit more, right? Well, take something that's probable and do it. One of them, right? Add the scent. Take a bite, right? Turn it into the actual and see how it feels, right? So there can be a slippery slope between what's positive and possible and what's positive and probable and what's positive and actual. And what do you leave as a possibility? Well, anything that it's, oh gosh, I have to hunt up that, I loaned that CD to my friend. He's probably scratched it. But okay, leave it there as a possibility, right? But something else, that's probable and easy, right? That's fun. That's probable and fun. That's actual. I could do that and I'm enjoying it. Well, do it. Right? So this is the permeability between possibility and probability. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can pick and choose and mix. Okay, now do another one. Right? Now do another one. Now there's another part of this exercise that's working from reality up. Now here's how that works. Anytime you make a decision, certain probabilities increase. and certain possibilities increase, right? If you know that someone you really admire lives in New York City, and you move to New York City, the possibility, however unlikely, maybe 200 million to 1, is that you might run into them, right? Now, moving to New York City specifically so that you can have a 1 in 200 million chance of running into someone is not necessarily, a good plan, but nevertheless, right, there are other things, right? If you put up your profile online looking for a certain kind of friendship, the odds might be 1 in 10,000 that you have it, but 0 if you don't, right? Or they might be 1 in 1,000, right? As a probability. But how many minutes would it take to increase that probability from 0 to 1 in 1,000, or from 1 in 200,000 to 1 in 1,000, so that we're moving towards something, right? If you want to swim in a tropical waterfall, well, taking a vacation or moving to the tropics increases that odds significantly over wanting to swim in a tropical waterfall and not going to the tropics, right? So if there are certain probabilities that you would enjoy, like the odds of you buying a house go up if you get pre-qualified to buy a house. They go up if you read a course on no money down real estate. They go up if you meet someone who's willing to co-sign, right? So there's a variety of paths that you don't have to buy a house, and it is possible to buy a house without doing any of those things. Someone might just walk down the street one day. They might. I'm sure it's happened every billion people or so, that in somewhere scattered around a billion people, there's one of them that just wants to give away a house for a few dollars, and they walk around and say, who'd like to buy my house for $5? Right? I'm sure it's happened once at least, right? So it could happen. But if you want it to be probable and highly probable, well, what's highly probable? Well, maybe a 1 in 100 chance that I end up buying a house. Well, get pre-qualified, get a co-signer, look at houses on the market, right? Where you'd like to live, right? And the odds go way up, right? Save up some money that you can, put as a down payment. Clarify what you want in a house, right? Every one of these things, the odds go up. So in this thing, you're working the other way. You're increasing your possibility. You're really increasing your probability, because they're all possible anyway. But your probability is going way up if you do this. And there are certain possibilities you wouldn't think of, meaning the possibility of you getting insurance on a house that you own kind of opens up only after you own a house, right? It's not very possible to get insurance on a house on your house if you don't own a house, right? That's not possible, right? But so as you take steps, certain things become possible that wouldn't be possible for you without precursing steps. They're always possible in the abstract, but you have to do certain things, right? You have to be capable of running a marathon for it to be possible for you to run a marathon in the next few months, right? You have to be capable. So maybe, doing this, doing that. So what are some of the possibilities out there that you like? What are some of the probabilities that you like? And then what are some of the steps that you could take that make them more probable? And what we're looking for is that's currently happening 1 in 1,000. If I take this step, it'll be 1 in 100. Not bad. And if I take this other step, it'll be 1 in 10. And if I take this other step, it'll be 50-50. If I take this other step, it'll be 80-20, meaning I've got an 80% odds of buying this house. If I save the money, get pre-qualified, start going to open houses, get a cosigner in case it's outside of my pre-qualification thing, get a job that can fund the mortgage, and I look at houses once a week, and I write down what I want, and I get a real estate, there's an 80% chance that I'm going to buy a house. Right? But if I just get pre-qualified but don't look at any houses, well, then maybe it's 30%, right? So what's the reality out there that you like? And then what are little steps that make that more likely, that make that easy? And so you can go out into the possibility field, and this is a great mental and emotional exercise, and think of, well, I could have a relationship with this kind of person in this way. Okay. I could also have this kind of relationship with that kind of person in that way. I could also generate income in this way. And I could generate income in this way. And I could get healthier in this way. I could get healthier in this way. It is possible I gave up smoking, right? Not very likely given my habit, but it's possible. And what would that be like? And that's possible. It's possible that I could invest in this and invest in that and invest in this and have all of this money that I give away. It's possible I could give away, it's possible I could save 5 people's life. It's possible. Well, how, right? Well, maybe I pick the most deadly diseases that require $1,000 to save. I save up $5,000. I donate it towards healing 5 people with that disease, and 5 lives are saved. And it's possible. I saved 5 lives. It's possible. So what would make it probable? Do I like saving 5 people's life? I don't want to save 5 people's life. I want some ice cream. Well, it's possible, right, that there's this amazing ice cream place. Well, where is the best ice cream place within an hour's drive, right? The best ice cream place. Oh, here, well, I didn't know that existed. It's now probable. Maybe I'll stop by there, right? So imagine things. But what I want to close on and what I want to say is that the actuality of our life is the smallest, narrowest piece of it. 10,000 times bigger is the probability, right? What's probable? I could have moved my finger like that. I could have been in bed right now rather than make this video. I could pick up this, watch this, right? I could go like that, or I could go like that. See why? Because it's there, like, just happens to be on the table, right? So it's probable, but there are millions of probabilities, right? I could go like this, or I could go like that. Or I could do the other hand, right? All these probabilities, just why would I do that, right? So a lot of them don't have a tremendous amount of value, but they are far more expansive, meaning there are just so many probable things that could be happening at any given moment. And beyond that, there are vastly more possible things. Now, the brain defaults to the negative by a factor of 500%. So if anything negative is going on in your life, your brain will amplify it 500% and try to fix it. And if anything positive is going on in your life relative to something negative, beautiful day, your girlfriend just insulted you. Okay, which do you focus on? Well, the brain defaults to 500%. Ignore the beautiful day. Let's focus on that was so unfair. I should have said this. I should have said that, right? So the brain may expand it by 1,000%. Now it's 10 times bigger, right? So it takes discipline. Why? Well, that prioritization of the negative kept us alive to this point, right? If one person in 100 is aiming a gun at us and everyone else is smiling, the prioritization, which is now 1 to 100, right? 100 people smiling at us, hello, one with a gun. Prioritizing the negative, even at a 1 to a 99% ratio, kept us alive as individuals, as a species. Because it kept us alive, the people that prioritized the positive are dead, right? The people that ignored the gun, took time to smile at all those 100 people, they're dead in the gene pool. And the people that looked around like, well, the person isn't even there, right? But they might show up at any point, right? The paranoid, Andy Grove, only the paranoids survive. Well, at some level of sociopathic, points in our history, that was true. The more competent we become as a species, the less true that is. And of course, everything that once helped us thrive eventually is our biggest blockage to new evolution, right? Got to sharpen my pencils. At one point, you got the job. Ooh, 3 sharp pencils in the breast pocket. Got to give that guy the job, right? Pencils? No, now it's the model of cell phone. Now it's, did they do this or did they do that? Now it's what they've done in their resume pattern, right? It's a different model. And if you're bringing out your 3 pencils and doing that, they're going to just say, So what once helps you survive now gets in your way, right? Being paranoid when the threat isn't even there, or if now it's the threat of a stranger having a judgment about you that you don't have to interact with. Your brain is still going to prioritize, that stranger might judge me. And they might, right? But at some point, that's not picking the gunman out of 100 people. That's trying to control the thoughts of millions, which is now driving you nuts, right? And so it's no longer useful. And so at this point, countering, when you're trying to go to sleep, etc., populating your mind with positive possibilities will help you see more of them, number one. Will, number two, give you a more positive outlook on the future. Because your brain will tell you all that could go wrong. You can pretty much rely on that. This could go wrong, that could go wrong, this is going wrong, that could go wrong, that's possible that could go wrong, that's likely to go wrong. But that, works you up into a stress where you can't see possibilities that could go right. So that's where this comes in.